Warrior family, greetings. Welcome to this quick, random, impromptu live that I'm doing right about now. I'm not even watching the chat, so I don't know who's in the building, but I just want to say peace, blessings, greetings, Uncle Justin, Neb, life, prosperity, and health, as spoken in the ancient Kemetic language, African power for all African people. This is just really a quick live here, because I wanted to kind of just develop on what I've been doing for the last few days in relation to highlighting the 40th anniversary of the Grenada Revolution, which was successful in 1979, the 13th of March, 1979, yeah? Grenada and I just feel like it's very important for us to kind of, mark these anniversaries, what I'm saying, in our history, kings and queens, you get me? And I'm particularly inspired by the revolutionary histories of Africa and the Caribbean, Africans all around the world, yeah? And for something that happened not too long ago, like I said, we are honoring the 40th anniversary of the Grenada Revolution. So many of us, this is an event that took place in our lifetimes, just before our lifetime, and so forth, yeah? And I just think that it's important that we highlight these things, that we remember these things, and that we teach our children and our community at large these things, you know what I'm saying? The Grenada Revolution took place between 1979, well, the primary dates were the 13th of March, 1979, and then the 19th of October, yeah, 1983, which is the date on which the leading light of the Grenada Revolution, Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, was assassinated, yeah. I am born in 1985, so all this is taking place 2 years before I was born. Yeah, and it's always shocking, and sometimes I shouldn't say shocking, but it's always, something that I think about, yeah, in the sense of the fact that not enough of us know, yeah, about the Grenada Revolution, what it was, what happened, and yeah, who the leading lights were, them kind of things there. At the same time, I am conscious of the fact that when we speak about the great movements of our history, we often don't talk about them in terms of the achievements, what they actually did, what they actually achieved, yeah? So we have a lot of debate going on right about now about Pan-Africanism and what it is and what it's done, and people are talking as though it has done nothing. And this is something that just comes from a lack of knowledge and understanding and appreciation for Pan-Africanism, what it is and what it's done. And to be fair, to be entirely fair to people, in my humble opinion, Pan-Africanists have to take some responsibility for that, because maybe we're not doing enough of a good job, yeah, of teaching about the successes of our movements, teaching about the successes of our revolutionary endeavors. And I believe that we should do so. I totally and utterly believe that we should do so. So I'm gonna do that tonight, yeah? I'm not even gonna stay on there too long, but greetings and welcome to everyone that's joining me right about now. Once again, encouraging you, or should I say as usual, I encourage you to like out the video. I want to make sure that I can be heard as well. I'm assuming that I can be heard. If I can be heard, give me some red, black, green in the chat, or give me a 9, hit the 9 button, you know what I'm saying? Let me know that, I'm coming through loud and clear. And if you feel like anybody that would benefit from this little discourse that we're about to have, feel free, yeah, to share the link and them kind of things there. So I'm just waiting for somebody to let me know I can be heard right about now. Big up to I Love Soil Do You don't know. Thank you for joining me and these things. Yeah, so yeah, anybody that's watching me right about now, yeah, let me know I can be heard by hitting the 9 and or giving me some red, black, green in the chat. So all I really want to do today, family, is just a couple years ago I had noted down some of the achievements of the Grenada Revolution. Just some of the achievements. Give thanks. I love, so do you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we give thanks. But yeah, there's some of the achievements of the Grenada Revolution, yeah, and why I am inspired by the Grenada Revolution. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I have for the last couple of days been sharing live footage and documentaries of the Grenada Revolution. So check my last couple videos but one, yeah, because I premiered a video earlier today, but check my last couple of videos but one. And there's one that's 4 and a bit hours of footage, and then there's another that's 5 and a bit hours. Some of it repeats, but the 5 and a bit hours one contains everything that the 4 hours one contains plus more. Yeah, so if you want to catch everything, check that last one, which is Grenada Revolution 40th anniversary. Yeah, so I'm not gonna go into it right about now. You know what I'm saying? And just ensure that, yeah, this, like, some of the things that Maurice Bishop and the People's Revolutionary Government of Grenada achieved is known. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna do. If anybody wants to come on later and, you know, have a conversation about what it is I'm saying, I may facilitate that, depending. Yeah, if there's enough of a desire and a will, which is not necessary. You don't have to. It's all good to just listen, and we're gonna make sure that you know, we honor properly, yeah, the you know, the achievements of our ancestors. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen now, family, and go through some of the things that I have learned about the Grenada Revolution. This is something that I'm still learning about. I am not an expert on the thing, but I'm studying enough to share some of this important information. Forgive me because my presentation is not going to be as scholarly. It's more me just sharing and having a conversation. So like the sources from where I got a lot of this information is not going to be explicitly shared in the presentation. However, a lot of it comes from books that I've read and speeches, yeah, and information from Maurice Bishop himself and the things that he has said about the Grenada Revolution. And me just taking a lot from the information, compiling it, and putting it in a format that with this bullet point format, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, and on another day we'll go in more, you know, in a more scholastic sense and give all the sources where all these things come. And on that day, if I realize I've made any errors, I will correct them. But yeah, this particular image right here is Africa Liberation Day in Grenada in 1981, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that is Maurice Bishop speaking at the platform. I have actually heard an audio of Maurice Bishop speaking at an African Liberation Day in Grenada. And the importance of this image is for us to know that the people of Grenada and the leadership, or should I say some of the leadership, of what was known as the New Jewel Movement or the People's Revolutionary Government of Grenada were connected to the worldwide Pan-African liberation fight, yeah, at that time, okay? And in saying that, I do want to say the name Thomas Sankara, President of Revolutionary Burkina Faso, who are, as history would unfold, actually got started his revolution at the time, around the same time, yeah, that Maurice Bishop and the Grenada Revolution was being basically attacked and folded. Yeah, this is 1983. But if you check the life of Maurice Bishop and the life of Thomas Sankara, there are many similarities, and there are many similarities between the 4-year period of 1979 to 1983 in Grenada and the period of 1983 to 1987 in Burkina Faso. Another subject for another time, but this is just to demonstrate the level of political awareness that was being developed in Grenada at that time. So it wasn't just about Grenada, it wasn't even just about the Caribbean, it was about these brothers and sisters in Grenada connecting their liberation fight to the liberation fight of African Black people all around the world. And this is just demonstrative of it. Look at the banner. It reads, "We salute our heroic African sisters and brothers." Yeah, in fact, I'm reminded now, and I didn't put it in this presentation, but I'm reminded of the fact that there is a picture of Maurice Bishop sitting with Samora Machel, who is the president of Revolutionary Mozambique. Yeah, and so obviously, you know, a lot of connection was going on around this time. The revolution in Grenada represented the only successful revolution in the English-speaking Caribbean. Okay, and so these things are just important things to note. And this next image is just a beautiful image, yeah, of this elder mama being so affectionate towards Maurice Bishop and the people of Grenada surrounding their prime minister. You know, this is just a beautiful image, yeah. And I, you know, when I saw it first, I was in love with it. So I figured I'd just show it to give a sense of the kind of man that we're dealing with when we talk about Maurice Bishop, and the kind of energy that we were dealing with in Grenada during the Grenada Revolution. Big up you Remain, you don't know, yeah, has followed me all throughout this Grenada series that I've been doing, yeah. And so what I'm going to do now, brothers and sisters, is just go into some of the things that I have noted down here. You can find a lot of this information in the videos that I've shared previously over the last few days on Grenada. But this is me just collating some stuff from things that I've studied and researched about Grenada itself. The reason being, as I said before, is that we often do not talk about the successes, yeah, of our great movements, our great leaders, our revolutionaries. They achieved a lot, and sometimes what they achieved gets lost in us talking about how they were taken down, how they were assassinated, how the CIA and the MI6 and the MI5 and the FBI infiltrated, and all these, how they were betrayed by those among us and around us, yeah. But sometimes it's good just to remember what they achieved, yeah. And so I just want to remember some of the things that the revolutionary government of Grenada achieved, especially because 4 and 5 hours of footage is a lot of information, and so many people may not get all of the information. So you just want to condense it and see how it goes. All right. So first and foremost, achievements of Maurice Bishop and the People's Revolutionary Government of Grenada. Yeah. So they formed the Joint Endeavor for Welfare, Education, and Liberation, which became known as the New Jewel Movement, yeah. And this was in opposition to the government of Eric Gairy, who was basically a dictator, who was the prime minister of Grenada more or less since the independence of Grenada in the mid 1970s. One of the major things that Gairy is famous for is that he had a very repressive regime, and there was a gang, a so-called gang, which was an extension of the police force, called the Mongoose Gang, which was really just beholden to the whim of Eric Gairy. And he used to use this gang, this force, the Mongoose Gang, to repress the people of Grenada, especially those who were in opposition to his rulership. One of the people that was a victim of this Mongoose Gang was Rupert Bishop, who is the father of Maurice Bishop, yeah. And he was a part of the opposition to Eric Gairy was killed. Maurice Bishop himself and many other members of what would become the New Jewel Movement were arrested and beaten many times. And outside of that, severe underdevelopment of Grenada was taking place under Gairy because he was not investing in the nation, which I'll come back to later. But basically, the nation was being impoverished for his own material benefit and for the benefit of nations like Britain and America, who had interest in Grenada. If anybody knows anything about Grenada, Grenada is known as the island of spice, or the Spice Island. And so, it's one of the places that the Western world got a lot of its spices from. But those spices that Britain, America, and other places were buying from Grenada were not benefiting the development of the Grenadian nation as a whole, and the Grenadian people in particular. And so because of that, the regime of Eric Gairy was not particularly popular. And so the New Jewel Movement moved to overthrow this regime in 1979. The story goes that he was leaving the country to go to America, and whilst he was preparing to leave, he had left orders behind with the Mongoose Gang to basically wipe out the membership of the New Jewel Movement. And so it was decided by Maurice Bishop and others to basically move on government. It's known as a peaceful revolution because hardly anybody was harmed, yeah, in the midst of this revolution. And one of the things that they did was they abolished the constitution, because as you know, in many of our nations that we got independence, we were given constitutions, yeah, by our former colonizers. And so in this case, it would have been Britain, and the Queen of England ratifies the constitution of the former colony and joins the Commonwealth. So they abolished that constitution, that shit where, and instituted, the People's Revolutionary Government in March, specifically March the 13th, 1979, which is why we're observing this right now, because it's since the success of this revolution. And in the People's Revolutionary Government, Maurice Bishop, recognized as the populist leader of the revolution, became the prime minister. Shout out to everyone locked in, locked on, you know what I'm saying? Do let me know that you're here if you can, and if you're available. I do like it if people let me know that they're with me still, you know what I mean? They can hear what I'm saying and these things. So if anybody would like to just let me know, so you're there, you know what I mean? Just feel free to do that right about now. But yeah, and let brothers and sisters like out the video as well, and let anybody that you know that might enjoy this, little breakdown that I'm gonna give, let them know this. Share the link and these things, kings and queens. All right. If anybody wants to come and join the conversation in a bit, as well, let me know if you want to join the conversation, if you want to add anything, ask any questions or whatever. Share what you've learned about the Grenada Revolution from any of the videos that I've shared, or any research that you've been doing yourself. Do let me know that too, and I'll try and make space for that. All right. So in a speech, which is the second piece of footage in the lives that I have done over the last couple of days, a famous speech that Maurice Bishop delivered in June, I think it's June the 5th of 1983, months before he was assassinated at Hunter College in Brooklyn, New York. He says that the first thing that the People's Revolutionary Government did was to pass laws against the sexual exploitation of women in the workplace. Yeah, and we all know how this goes, you know what I'm saying, in the nation of Grenada. Prior to the revolutionary government, it was well known, that the sexual exploitation of women in places of work was, a fact of life. In many instances, you know what I mean? Many times, a woman getting a job, would be on the basis, of her giving whoever is responsible for giving that job a sexual favor. And so he said that the first actual law they passed was a law against the sexual exploitation of women in the workplace. And I'm going to do more work on this. I was speaking to one of my revolutionary aunties, Auntie Afion, who is from Nigeria, some months ago. And out of the conversation, I said I'm going to be doing delivering a presentation on the revolutionary character of African men in relation to African women, because I feel like we can learn a lot of lessons from it as Black men in terms of how we treat, relate to, and view, our sisters, wives, daughters, and so on and so forth. And I think there are many beautiful and positive examples in terms of revolutionary African leaders and things that they did and said on the issue and question of African women as a part of the development of the African revolution and nation in general. Big up Arts Performed, feeling pain about the New Zealand terror attacks. Good to hear about the positive resistance to the New Deal movement. Yes, that is another subject for another time. You know what I'm saying? We'll probably talk about that another time. And I know that there are other lives that are dealing with that at the moment. I love soil, do you? I don't have any useful knowledge on the subject to come on the panel, so I'm just going to listen. No problems, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Just opening it to anybody that might. And nobody's obligated to, so if nobody doesn't want to, I'll just lock off the stream in it. But I just figured I'd give the opportunity for conversation where people want it. All right, so moving on, developed what is called zonal councils, parish councils, worker parish councils, and farmer councils as mechanisms of participatory democracy. I'll read the bullet point and I'll come back to this. Developed national women's organizations, national youth organization, the farmers union, and various labor unions, so that the ordinary people were empowered to play a first-hand role in shaping the policies of the government. And he says, as a part of the zonal councils, senior members of government were required to visit the local meetings once a month in order to give a report and take questions. So let me just explain this particular one first and foremost. Develop zonal councils, parish councils, worker parish councils, and farmer councils as mechanisms of participatory democracy. The People's Revolutionary Government were very critical of what they called, or what is called, Westminster-style democracy, which is obviously the form of government and participation that we have in the UK, whereby the responsibility of the people is, generally speaking, confined to every 4 or 5 years, ticking X on a box for the particular party that you want to represent the government. Yeah. And when we talk about the propaganda of the society, our political responsibilities is, generally speaking, directed towards the ballot box, the voting process. Yeah. And so because they were developing a new revolution, the People's Revolutionary Government instituted a number of ways, yeah, of involving and learning about the needs of the people of Grenada in as many ways as possible. And so the way that they did this was to develop organizations of the people. So zonal councils were councils that represented the different areas, yeah, of Grenada, where the people gathered themselves to discuss the needs of their particular zone, yeah, or their particular parish. And then there's worker parish councils. So basically the various workers within each parish had their own organization to discuss the economic welfare of their parish, yeah. And then you have some farmer councils, which is specifically the farmers, understanding that farming and agriculture plays a specific kind of role, because it is the farmers who are going to be growing the food for the nation first and foremost, and then developing the food and the goods for export. Yeah. And so the People's Revolutionary Government was inspired to develop what they called participatory democracy, and it was all about involving the people, the masses of Grenadian society, as much as possible. Yeah. And this was the point. All right. So as well as that, now they developed the different unions through which the people could have political power. So as I've already mentioned, in terms of the repression of women in Grenada, yeah, they developed a national women's organization that had a political voice to make decisions and make representation on behalf of the women of the nation at the government level. Yeah, National Youth Organization did the same thing in relation to youth, the Farmers Union, and various other labor unions. Yeah, as it says, so that the ordinary people were empowered to play a first-hand role in shaping the policies of the government. At this point, what I'll do is I'll show a video, yeah, a piece of a video that I shared in the footage that I was showing over the last couple of days in the lives that I've done, that demonstrates this, yeah, in no uncertain terms. All right, and my apologies, family. My computer is not cooperating with me at the moment. Yeah, but I was inspired by this for a number of different reasons. One of them was when you watch a lot of the documentaries and the footage of the Grenada Revolution, one of the things that becomes very apparent here is the involvement, the prominence, and the outward expression of the women of the revolution. Yeah, they speak with passion, they speak with articulation, and they speak with understanding of the principles of the revolution, what it is that they are trying to achieve. Yeah, what the various different issues are within the nation. Yeah, they're very, very up on it, they're very conscious of it, and they're very vocal about all of these things. Sorry, family, I don't know what's going on right about now, but nothing on my computer is moving. Yeah, nothing on my computer is moving. So I'm a little bit perplexed, because obviously I can't continue if you can't see and hear what is going on. So forgive me for a sec. while I'm trying to sort this out. But yeah, so I was particularly inspired by, you know, seeing those women, yeah, and seeing the young people. In fact, there's a piece of footage that if I get an opportunity to share it with you, I will share it. I know you can see, but I'm trying to end the presentation for a sec so that I can show you the video, and it's not allowing me to do that. So I'm just trying to sort that out in a minute. So just give me a sec while I try to sort that out. But yeah, there's a woman who is a grandmother, yeah, and she said she joined the People's Revolutionary Militia, yeah, because and she goes and when she joined it, a lot of the younger people were inspired to join because she's in age, yeah, in age, she says, in age, basically meaning that she's an elder, and so if she's in age and she joins the revolution, then it inspires the younger people them to join the revolution. And she said she got involved in it for the sake of her grandchildren, yeah, which, you know, was again just inspirational to me. There's another piece of footage where a sister is basically saying, well, look, I am a woman and I believe that I'm equal to every man in here, and when it's time to take up my pot and cook, I will take up my pot and cook. But when it's time to pick up arms or get involved in the political process, I'm going to do that too, yeah. Wherever, you know, my responsibility is in terms of serving the people of Grenada, she's saying she will serve her purpose. Right, family, this thing is not functioning, yeah. I'm not sure what is going on. It's not the one, yeah. It's not the one right now. Nothing is moving. Nothing at all is moving. Yeah, nothing. It's very amazing. All right. What I'm gonna do? Yeah, I've been trying that. You remain. I've been on it hard. I've been hitting that button hard, and nothing now going. It's peak out here right about now. You get me? Sometimes technology does fail us. You know what I mean? And that's the way it goes. But it's good to know that, all right, okay, I'm getting something now. Some signal is going through. Okay, right. So the trackpad is on, but I'm not seeing the evidence of its functioning. Yeah, which is a problem. Man, oh man, this is a problem. If I can't, I'm gonna have to just go through reading my notes while this same thing stays on the screen. Yeah, so I may have to do that. Forgive me if I do have to do that. But yeah. All right, let me find what it is I've been reading from elsewhere. I apologize, I won't be able to see your comments right about now, family, because I have to use my phone for this. Yeah. But I'll just go through and persevere, and hopefully this thing works itself out in the process. Okay. But yeah, big up for everyone for locking on. For those who are just joining us, I'm just basically going through some of what are the achievements of the Grenada Revolution, because we're honoring 40 years since the success of the Grenada Revolution, which came to fruition on the 13th of March, 1979. All right. So where was I up to? Right, the zonal councils. Right. So they reduced unemployment from 49%, yeah, to 14.2% by 1982. So between 1987 and 1982, unemployment went from 49%, yeah, to 14.2%. Yeah, so they were putting the people of the nation to work, as well as developing organizations of the people so that they could represent themselves in the work that they were doing. All right. Established the Center for Popular Education, which built schools and developed adult literacy programs, yeah, and adult education programs in general. As a result, illiteracy went from 35% in 1979 to just 5%. And I did read some other places where they said actually it was 2% in the space of 4 years. So between 1979 and 1983, illiteracy dropped from 35% to just 5%. Yeah. And I recall in the longer version of the Maurice Bishop speech, the reason why I didn't use the longer version of the speech is because the quality is not as good. But he explains it, he goes into explaining that it was difficult sometimes, yeah, to get people that were working all day, elders, you know what I'm saying, veteran farmers who were working all day, but were not necessarily literate, to come to evening classes, yeah. You know what I'm saying, after working from 1 o'clock in the morning and finishing in the evening, to then following that go to evening classes to up their literacy. But many of them did it, you know what I'm saying. And so this is you know, vital institutions that were being developed in Grenada at the time. They increased capital investment. Basically, that's the investment from the government into the nation, into good services of the nation, from 8 million to 100 million by 1982. Yeah. So under Gary, they weren't really investing in the agricultural sector, the healthcare sector, the education sector, and these kinds of things very much, yeah. And so to the point of 8 million, and they were able to go from 8 million in 1979 to 100 million dollars in 1982, by 1982. All right. They also passed laws that granted women paid maternity leave and the assurance of being able to return to their job. Yeah. Now, many nations in the West hadn't sorted out that issue. Yeah. In the 70s and 80s. All right. And so the island of Grenada were ensuring that women could be family oriented and career orientated if they wanted to be. Okay, so again, passed laws that granted women paid maternity leave and the assurance of being able to return to their job once that maternity leave was over. Made education free from primary to university and awarded over 100 free scholarships for Grenadans to study abroad, particularly in medicine, within 6 months of the revolution. So within 6 months, they had sent over 100 students to study abroad, yeah, especially in the field of medicine. And that paid off because they were also able to double the number of doctors, yeah. And to quote Maurice Bishop, moving from a ratio of around 1 doctor to every 4,000 people before the revolution to the present ratio, which is 1 doctor for every 2,700 people in Grenada. So in this between March 1979 and June 1983, the island of Grenada went from 1 doctor for every 4,000 people to 1 doctor for every 2,700 people. And as a result of this, they were able to institute free healthcare and increase the number of dental care centers from 1 to 7, yeah, across the island. As they also doubled utilities, yeah, like electricity, ensuring that electricity got to rural areas. I understand that the running water to homes was something like 30% when they took over, and I cannot remember the figure that they got it to, but it was at least double from what I recall. Yeah, so they were able to increase functional running and drinking water to homes, yeah, exponentially. All right. They abolished income tax for the lowest paid workers. So basically, to ensure the abolishment of poverty, what they did was that for workers who were being paid the lowest wages, they didn't have to pay any tax to the government. Yeah, which is amazing to me. And finally, they invested heavily in agro-industrial development, resulting in a marked increase in Grenadan fruit and veg production and packaging. In one of the documentaries that I showed, there's a speech from one of the members of the People's Revolutionary Government, a man by the name of Bernard Cord, yeah, who was speaking about the fact that after 400 years of 8 million pounds, yeah, of mangoes rotting, yeah, on the streets of Grenada, the People's Revolutionary Government came in and started to grow the mangoes, pick the mangoes, package the mangoes, sell the mangoes, slice the mangoes, and turn them into products like juice and purees, and did the same thing for other, you know, things like tamarind and them kind of things there in the nation, yeah. And so basically, the products of the nation were no longer going to waste. Yeah, so those are the major things that I've noted down. All right, and I'm not gonna lie, particularly what inspired me was not just the achievements in terms of what they were able to do in terms of the material benefits, yeah, of the nation, but in particular the system of government that they were developing. So, for those who may not be aware, Maurice Bishop was killed, assassinated in 1983. Yeah, as a result of some split that took place in the People's Revolutionary Government. And there is evidence to suggest that the CIA was involved in that in some way, shape, or form, because they were involved. They had their agents in the nation already. And the American government, you know, invaded within a matter of days, and basically ensured that the revolution was not able to reconstitute itself. Yeah. And I was going somewhere with this. But the whole point, yeah, is that in this short space of time, they were able to achieve all of these things. And that's what I was going with it. At the point that Maurice Bishop was assassinated, they were in the process of rewriting the Constitution. Yeah, so all of this was not finished work. Yeah, they hadn't finished the job, if that makes sense. Like, you know, they were developing new systems of government, yeah, and involving the people in shaping that new government. So they had began to institute what was called a constitutional committee that was going to rewrite the constitution. And as I said when I began, that's where the constitution that was given to them by the Queen of England, yeah, and began to develop a new constitution, and were involving the people through the various zonal councils and parish councils and them kind of things there, and this constitutional committee to rewrite our constitution and develop a system of government that would reflect the needs of the people, yeah. And so this is something that I'm inspired by, in the sense of, many times, yeah, you see whenever there's a revolution in Africa or the Caribbean, the first thing that Western media is projecting, Western governments are projecting towards, are elections. And they do this because elections are what ensures their power, their soft power, because elections are governed by, generally speaking, the principles of Westminster democracy. And so it's them trying to maintain a sense of power in the nation, yeah? So the nation never gets to ask its own questions and provide its own answers to those questions. They are given the answers by foreign nations and the institutions that are governed by foreign nations, namely the IMF, the World Bank, the United Nations in particular, and these kinds of things. I'm so sorry, brothers and sisters, that this thing has decided to pack up on me and not function properly, so I can't show you the rest of it and the videos that I had prepared, the snippets of the videos that I had prepared. But so it got some time, you know, you know what I mean? I kind of had half a mind to lock off the stream and start again, but we're gonna just persevere with what I'm going right about now. Yeah, so the where was I? Yeah, so it was those systems of government, and a lot of the time when we're talking about revolutionary ideas, revolutionary ideals, Pan-Africanism and what it looks like, yeah, these are just like the roadways, the road maps for how you develop things. You see what I'm saying? Because we're just used to this one system, people think that if this system doesn't exist, you're just living in a pipe dream. We don't understand that we can delve deep, yeah, into the bowels of our history, our culture, and our people's consciousness, and develop new systems of government that are more representative of the needs of the people and the culture of the people. And so, whereas there was the major split in the People's Revolutionary Government was between those who were ultra leftist in terms of Marxist and those who had a more black nationalist cultural sensibility. Yeah, I recall one of the members of the People's Revolutionary Government, a man by the name of Selwyn Strawn, came over here a few years ago, and one of the statements that he made was that Maurice Bishop and those who were inspired by him were very big on the people of Grenada connecting the revolution of Grenada to the Black World Revolution and our African history and our Black revolutionary figures. He said this himself, yeah? And so whereas history writers would suggest that basically the Grenada Revolution was inspired by Marxism and socialism, yeah? When my studies of it suggest to me that there was more going on. There was a cultural, an African sense of cultural sensibility that existed there as well, that was also informing what they were developing. I'm not suggesting at all that the people that were not inspired by Marx and socialism. That would be erroneous, yeah, to say. But I am conscious of the fact that oftentimes when we develop systems and ideas out of our own African cultural sensibilities, because we have not been taught to think intellectually, politically, and economically within the context of African culture, we don't believe or we don't consider the fact that African culture has anything to offer the world economically, politically, and intellectually. We reduce African culture to song and dance and jollof rice, and you know, and kente cloth and all them something there. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we have cultural sensibilities, or just the natural process of answering the questions that and trying to solve the problems of the people, developing ideas out of that. And because Western education told us about somebody called Marx and somebody called Engels and somebody called Lenin and somebody called Stalin, and because the revolutionary you know, ideas and legacy has been dominated by things like Cuba and Fidel Castro, yeah, that we can't see outside of that framework. And that's not to study that framework and know that framework and understand what it is and understand how people were informed by it in our movements. That's very important, but we shouldn't restrict ourselves to that framework is what I'm saying. That said, it is important to note that one of the reasons why the American government had its eye on Grenada, and they were running military drills, yeah, military drills for an invasion on Grenada as early as 1981, from my understanding, and maybe before that, but I am aware of 1981. Them running military drills, yeah. One of the things that they were conscious of is the fact of Grenada's relationship with Cuba. And they put out the propaganda that this relationship was primarily military, which it wasn't. The Cuban doctors and architectural workers were operating in Grenada, as well as the fact that Cuban doctors were also educating Grenadian doctors. Yeah, and if you know, one of the major world facts is that some of the best doctors in the world come out of Cuba, and Cuba has one of the best healthcare systems in the world. You can study medicine for free in Cuba. Yeah. So as I said, I really just wanted to put this information out. Yeah. I would love to have been able to show the videos, but not able to at this moment. But again, just to reiterate, I think it's important now around everything that I've said. There's more information to be looked into. Yeah, I am not suggesting that the Grenada Revolution was perfect in any way or never had anything to critique. Yeah, but I do think it's important when we're looking at these periods of history that we spend more time studying the achievements, yeah, and how they achieve what they achieve. And so I'm just doing this as hopefully a springboard from which to facilitate that particular conversation right there. What were their achievements and how did they achieve what they achieved? Obviously, we haven't gone into the hows so much here. But it's identifying the things that they achieved. Yeah, and hopefully I'm going to do the same thing for Thomas Sankara and the revolutionary Burkina Faso. Yeah. In a few months' time, you know, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, just look at the achievements. So we can look at Grenada in terms of what happened with Maurice Bishop and his assassination and the American invasion. All these things are important, but it is also very important, yeah, to let people know that they achieved many, 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 many great things, yeah, so that we can look at these things, analyze them, and institute them when we are so able, or when we are in the position to, in terms of how we develop our own selves, how we develop our own nations, and what we want to try and institute in our nations from now. If we are living in nations whereby we represent the majority and we are in government, what kinds of pressure are we putting on our governments to develop what kind of a nation, what kinds of systems of governments, yeah, are we trying to develop and institute? So I hope ones and ones have gotten something from that. I will invite people on, but because my computer has gone you know, haywire at the moment, I can't even let anybody on the chat, kings and queens. So yeah, if there is anybody, you know what I'm saying, that does want to come on and say anything, speak now, and what I'll have to do is close down this particular chat, start a new one, and we'll facilitate a conversation. So yeah, I'll give you a few minutes to do that. But just thanking everybody that's tuned in still, you know what I'm saying. As I said, look impromptu, random live, you know what I mean, because I just feel like not enough of us know about the Grenada Revolution and what it was, yeah, and what it did. And I want to say specifically, yeah, like all of our revolutions across the African world, we need to know about. But for those of us who are from the Caribbean in any way, shape, or form, yeah, it's particularly important. I shouldn't say that, you know, but I am going to say it because of the locality, yeah, the region that we are representing, or that we are in, should I say, yeah, and the fact that information about the Grenada Revolution is deliberately, yeah, marginalized throughout the Caribbean, the English-speaking Caribbean in particular, in a similar way, yeah, to information about the Haiti Revolution, yeah, is marginalized. Yeah, we're not teaching these things, and I do believe the reason for that is because the governments of the Caribbean do not want their neo-colonial states to be overthrown. They're answering to their British and American masters, and they know that the inspiration of people like Maurice Bishop and the People's Revolutionary Government of Grenada will inspire something different in the people, will inform the demands of the people. So now we're no longer just demanding, you know, for jobs and American currency and, you know what I mean, these things. No, the demands of the people become different the more they are informed about their revolutionary leaders. And so this fear, yeah, is having a direct impact upon the fact that Maurice Bishop is not taught in the Caribbean. Walter Rodney is not taught in the Caribbean, among Africans in the Caribbean. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, yeah, and Amy Jakes Garvey and Amy Ashwood Garvey, you know, are not taught, yeah, among the governments of the Caribbean. Claudia Jones and Una Marson, yeah, are not taught, yeah, in the education system. All right, so we want to make sure that we do teach these things, these periods of history, these principles, these revolutions, so that we can inform our people and that our people are politically educated, so that when we are making demands and when we are instituting government policies, we know exactly and we have a different frame of reference for what it is that we want to do and what it is that we want to achieve. Thank you for listening in, kings and queens. You know what I mean? Once again, apologies for the technical hitches. But as always, Uncle Jason Neb, life, prosperity, and health. Tendam Wali, and African power for all African people.